Welcome to 3D camera tracking. This topic is an important one to adding motion graphics to your videos using a camera that simulates the camera used to shoot the video. So you're actually adding to the reality of the video. In this section, you will learn how to use the track camera effect. Step by step, you will go through applying the effect and creating the track points, changing the camera solving methods, understanding how to select track points, setting a proper target, adding text solids or nulls, and doing the necessary replacements. You will go through the project of adding several graphics animated by the 3D camera tracker. In your practice activity, and this is going to be fun, you will add some text and some pre-composition to a sample video. So let's start with the workflow of the 3D camera tracking effect. Before we start working with the track camera or the 3D camera tracker effect, there is a concept that you need to understand. The 3D camera tracker effect is used to track the movement of the camera that has been used to shoot the video. I will show you a few examples where to use the 3D camera tracker and where not to use it. Let's take an old video that we have already worked on, the boat over here. If you scrap through, you will notice that the camera here is actually very stable. Maybe it's set on a tripod. And you have certain moving elements within the video. In this case, the camera has no motion, and using the 3D camera tracker will be useless. Let's take another example, the overview. I will double click. In the overview, you will notice that the camera is moving. So the camera has a certain movement. Of course, you guessed it, this is a drone flying over a certain area. So the camera has a lot of movement. The 3D camera tracker will study the movement of the camera. In this video, it's very useful to use the 3D camera tracker because you will be tracking the movement of the camera. Let's take another example, also the version. This kind of video is very common. If you scrap through, you will notice, first, the elements inside the video itself are moving. You notice the airplane is moving, is going further, turning. But also, the guy holding the camera is moving the camera. So now he's almost panning or rotating the camera and trying to follow with the airplane. Here he has a fixed movement somehow. In this video, the camera has a certain movement that you can track, and also the element or the object over here, the airplane, can be tracked using track motion. So here, depending on what you want to do, you can track the motion of the airplane or you can track the motion of the camera. If you have a look at the old house over here. In the old house here, the house is not moving, of course. It's only the camera that is moving. It's actually zooming in. If you had continued with this video, you will see that the camera will go outside and start taking whatever is behind the house, but I stopped it over here. Actually, yes, you can use the track motion for a portion of the house. For example, this window here, you could track the motion here, but also it will be much better to track the zoom of the camera. Okay, that will make a lot of sense. So in concept, if in a video the camera is moving around, the camera has certain movement, you will use the track camera or the 3D camera tracker. If the camera has no movement at all, like in this one, it's better to use the track motion. In the next lecture, we start looking at the workflow of the 3D camera tracker effect. In concept, guys, the 3D camera tracker will create a camera layer for you. And this camera layer has a certain animation that will simulate exactly the movement of the camera that has been used to shoot this video. Then, using the animated camera and some track points that have been created, you can attach other layers to the track point and you have a 3D movement like if your motion graphics was inside the video. So you start by applying the effect. Then After Effects will analyze your video. That's the first step. The second step is solving your camera. Then it will prompt you to create the camera. When you create the camera, you will use the track points, for example, to add some text, solid, null, or shallow catcher. Then you can replace, for example, the solid layer by pre-composition, or use the null object to attach other motion graphics or even other videos if you like. And all your motion graphics will be animated by the camera, just like this. So it's an easy process. Let's move on to the next lecture where I will show you how to create these track points. From our workflow, we are going to start with step 1. Step 1 is applying the effect and, of course, creating the track points, seeing exactly how it works and the different options that you might have. If you want to follow along with me, please open the project file cameratracking.aep. Within this project, please open camera tracking old house. Just double click on it. We only have the video of the old house. Let's first of all look at the video. You will notice that the house is not moving, and we have a camera that is zooming in somehow, and it has a certain motion. Okay, it's not going straight, just moving at a certain angle. So now let's use 3D camera tracking to track the camera movement that has been used to shoot this video. You have two options here. You can come to the tracker and click on track camera, or you can come to effects and preset and go to perspective, and you notice you have 3D camera tracker. Let's use the track camera from the tracker here. I'll click on it. You notice immediately start analyzing in the background, step 1 of 2. And the effect 3D camera tracker has been applied to the video layer. You have several options here. You can cancel, and you have the shot type. If you scroll down here, you will notice you have two main options. Fixed angle of view, that's the one that's working on, and variable zoom. It would have been interesting if you used the variable zoom here in our video, because we had a lot of zoom here. It could give you better result, but we'll see that later. You have other options also, and the advanced, we will work on it. Now it's starting to solving the camera. Solving the camera, it means it's trying to find out what kind of camera it's going to create for you and how it's going to create the motion of the camera. Actually, it will not create the camera, it will just study how a camera can be created. As soon as it finishes, you notice that create camera option has appeared. If you click on it, it will create a camera. I will do that. Here you are. You notice there is the 3D camera tracker. That's a camera that has been created. And if you press U, position and orientation has been keyframed, so a motion has been created. Let's see this motion. If you come to 2 view horizontal, of course you know that from the 3D section, you notice the camera is over here, and the position and orientation has been keyframed, and the camera now is moving, and it replicates exactly the movement of the camera used to shoot the video. Notice that the old house is not in 3D. Doesn't make sense to put it in 3D. But any other layer that you want to use through the camera tracking will be in 3D. Okay, let's go back to a single view and select the 3D camera tracker. Notice how there are these X's all over there. These are the track points, okay? And you are going to use these track points to define certain areas or certain plane to add objects in 3D. Also notice that there are very few on this side over here. After Effects has done its best to locate certain track points so you can use them in the 3D tracking. Notice a bit about these track points. If you scrub through, you will notice that some track points will appear all along the video, and some of them will appear and disappear, and some of them will just disappear after having appeared. So actually they are not all stable at 100%. This is the effect of the tracking. In some frames, After Effects did not manage, for example, to find the track point over here. So it decided, okay, let me delete it or remove it. Okay, you can notice from this guy over here, it wasn't there. Then it starts finding it, and it goes on, I think, till the end. No, it disappeared again. So these are the track points, and you are going to use them to define certain plane to put your 3D layers later on. Notice that we have very few track points over here. After Effects is not taking care of the zoom. We can go back to the fixed angle view and change it to variable zoom. Now it has resolved again for the variable zoom. And notice you have create camera again. Let's create this camera, but usually you won't do that. You will have only one camera. But in our case here, we have one camera that doesn't use the zoom and another camera that uses the zoom. This is more precise if you like. Cool. Let's delete the previous camera. Okay. And then let's select the old house or the effect itself. And you notice with the new camera, you have much more track points around here. It means After Effects has taken care more of the zoom and created more track points if you want. By now, you have applied the effect and created the track points. You notice this circle moving around, okay, jumping around. This circle will use the track points to define a 3D plane on which you can attach different kind of 3D layers. And this is what we are going to do in the next lecture. Now it's time to start tracking. Using the track points and the target, this is the target, the red one, we are going to create a plane in which we are going to attach a solid layer that will move according to the motion of the camera. Cool, guys? It's very easy. Let's zoom in a bit. The track points have become very big. You can come over to the track point size and make them smaller so you can see better. Simple as this, nothing more, nothing less. If you come to the end, they are immense. In fact, you can make them very small, not zero. Okay, here you are. Come back to the beginning and maybe I'll make them bigger. So this is how you play with them. There is the target here. This is this circle. Notice, I'll make it a bit smaller. Let's see how the target operates. If you point, for example, in between 3 track points, just like this, it has selected 3 track points. And then, using these 3 track points, you can define a plane in X, Y, Z in 3D. You notice the 2 track points on the right are further towards the camera than the one that is on the left, this one over here. It's proposing to you that you can create a plane using the 3 track points. If you come over here, for example, you can notice there are other planes that you can use. If the track point is too big for you, just make it smaller. We can do that here. It will be better. And let's notice the 3 track points that he's choosing. It has chosen the purple, the red, and the blue. Well, this one, and I press Shift to select them here, and this one. Immediately the target will appear. Well, that looks cool, but not so cool. Let's say we select these 3 track points. I'll press Shift, select them. Here you are. Well, it looks okay, but not very, similar to the plane of the ceiling itself. Nevertheless, let's click out and come over here. Let's choose this plane. I think it's good. We'll tweak it later on. So you can click now, and here you are. These are the points that have been selected. And I want these 3. I want the other 3, these ones. Oh, these ones are much better, I think. As soon as you click, you can come in the middle, in the eyeball, and start moving the target. Now, if you move the target, whatever you create after that will be set on the target. The idea here is you have a plane defined by 3 track points, and the target is just moving on the surface of this plane. So actually, this movement over here is not in 3D, it's just in 2D. You could say X and Y, for example, but still in the same plane. I'll just position it over here. I like that. And let's create a solid. To create text, solid, or a null layer, you just right click and you say create text, solid, or null. I will go for solid. Fine. Let's go out now, click out, and let's see if this solid is stuck to the ceiling. Of course, it's going to take some adjustment, but let's play and see. Well, actually, you can see it's pretty well stuck and is moving with the camera. Let's adjust this solid. First of all, you notice it's in 3D, and that's very important. I press Alt and zoom in. I will press T for opacity and reduce the opacity a bit so we see behind, so we can really position it 100% parallel in 3D to the ceiling. If you press W, you're selecting the rotation tool. Let's rotate it on the X here. Okay, not bad. Let's rotate it on the Y. Okay, it's getting better. And again on the X. Okay, let's make it pretty cool. I'm gonna rotate it on the Z. It's a bit risky here, but it can work. So it seems to me that it is pretty much aligned with the ceiling. So if I zoom in, well, it's working pretty fine, right guys? So what I would like to do now is the solid layer to cover the whole ceiling on top. You know the trick, guys. You come to FX and Preset and use the corner pin. Click on it and drop it on the solid layer. Here you are. Using the selection tool, you adjust it at 100% on the corners if you can. This job is very meticulous. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it in the course here, but you can really make it 100% perfect. Now, if I scrub through, I want to make sure that these corners are staying in the right places. It seems yes until now. Let's go to the end. Well, they're distorted. What I will do is to come over here, and a simple trick I'll show you is to keyframe everything. Then come to the end here and then readjust them. Okay, that's the easiest way. It's a bit of a cheating if you like, but it works and I do use it, but I don't tell anybody except you guys, around a few 100,000 students that I have. Let's not spend too much time to bore you over this. Now, I will come to the solid layer now. I press Ctrl-Shift-Y, Command-Shift-Y on the Mac. I want to change its color to a kind of black. Okay, I like this black. Fine. If you look at it now, we zoom out at 100%. Here you are. Go back to the beginning. Deselect. Notice what's happening. You actually changed the color using a solid layer attached through the 3D camera to the ceiling over here. Still have some problems and issues, you know, about the corner peel. You need to fix them, but I guess if you try to fix them just over here, it might work very nicely. I invite you to do that, guys. It's very easy. Just move them and adjust them the way you would like. In fact, it's done. I think so, at least. Here you are. So guys, this is so easy. What have you done until now? What have you achieved? Select your layer, come to the 3D camera effect, you select a plane, okay, using the target, and then you set this plane, you right click and you say, okay, create text, solid or null. So this job has been very easy. In the next lecture, we are going to use again the solid and do some replacement. It's going to be very interesting. In the previous lecture, guys, we used the solid just on top over here and change a bit the color. It wasn't about the color, it's about just putting the solid and see exactly how it moves with the 3D camera tracker. Okay, let's select our layer and go to the tracker. Now we want to add a solid just over here to cover the window and use later on the window glass here. It's a composition where you have a picture. I put a mask. It's not perfect. Of course, you can adjust it better. But yet working with imperfection is more training. And we're going to put it on top of the window and change this window over here. So I will zoom in and try to find the best 3 points I can find. I zoomed in too much. Here you are. So let's see where the target can set itself. I think these 3 points are pretty good. So I will click and select them. I think it's fine. You notice you need to adjust in 3D here for it to become on the 100% plan of the wall itself. I will right click and say create solid. Now that you have created the solid and the solid is attached pretty nicely on the wall over here, you want to replace the solid with a pre-comp. So let's use this pre-comp here. I will select the solid, I will select the pre-composition, press the Alt or Option on the Mac, click and drag and drop the window glass pre-comp on the solid layer. Here you are. There is an immediate replacement. And then you can scale it down as much as you want. Here you are. Now I will zoom in. Lots of zoom ins, right? You would want it to come and adjust it exactly the way the window is now. You have to be a bit meticulous to have a very nice animation. I'll press W to rotate it. I'm going to rotate it on the Y-axis. For me, it has to feel like it's 100% on the wall. And I think this is okay for now. Let's go to the end and see it. Well, the rotation is too much if you notice. You know, to this side. We need the corner pin to fix it. You know the drill. Let's go to corner pin and we search for corner. Click on it and drag it and drop it on the layer itself. I will come to the end of the comp here, and in the corner pin I will also keyframe everything. Try to adjust it the best way possible. Here you are. We're not going to be meticulous because you know already the concept. It's just training to replace a bit more here. Okay, this seems good. I will go to the beginning now, go back where it is, zoom in, and here also it seems good, but let's put this guy just over here and this guy over here. I will use the selection tool. Okay, this looks pretty nice and pretty cool. Go back to 100% and see if it has worked. Well, if you notice, it's almost working at 100%. And now, camera tracking and using the track points and replacing with solid layers and pre-comps and so on has become a very easy job for you guys. So please jump to After Effects, and in the next lecture what you want to do is to replace this window, but I'm not going to use a solid layer. I will use here a null object and I will show you how it works. In the previous lecture, guys, we put the first window. Now, if you put the second window, we can start asking for more rent, right? So let's try to put the second window, but instead of creating a solid layer, I want to create a null layer and show you somehow how it works. So we select our layer, go to the FX controls, and then select the 3D camera tracker, and try to zoom in a bit to see if you have some nice points over here. So I'm at a certain time, maybe if you go to the beginning or somewhere where you can find these points that are not disappearing so fast. These three look pretty fine for me. These are the three. I think they're good. Notice they really need some adjustment using 3D. If I choose some other ones, for example, these three, same. So let's choose these three. Okay, it's a matter of choice now. I will select the first one, second one, third one, and I will point to the middle and just take it down a bit. I think this will be okay somehow. Right click and create a null object. We are using here a null object. That's very true. This is your small null here. But the null object is not really meant to attach one object. You will want to attach several layers. But for the sake of the course and to make it simple so you can get the system, I will use only one object. And of course, I'm going to use the window. I will use the window glass composition. Click on it, drag it, and drop it inside the composition. Now, the first thing you want to do is to turn it into 3D. And then you bring up the parent and link. You know how to do that, right, guys? Columns, parent, and link. We saw this. Let's zoom out, and it's huge. Fine. We can click on it and just make it small. Okay, before we start, linking or parenting. And let's bring it just over here. And again, there is a special parent here I'm going to show you. If you click on the pick whip and just drag it, you will notice it says on the right, just over here, hold shift to move layer to location of parent. So this is important. If you don't, then it's not going to jump. It's going to just be parented and then you have to move it again. But with shift, it will jump to the track null 1 position. Here you are, I will release, and notice how it has jumped. Not very good jump, but it's okay, it's working. So let's click now and make it smaller. Press shift here. Okay, and of course we need to zoom in to see it carefully. Now you have two choices here. If you are parenting 3-4 elements here or layers, then adjust the track null. But if you are working on a single layer that you have parented, you can adjust the layer itself. And this is what I'm going to do now. With the selection tool, I will click and take it up like this. Now with the rotation tool, W, I will rotate it on the Y first of all. Here you are. Okay, that seems okay for me. I don't know, guys, you can do a better job. Okay. I think it's somehow parallel. I need the corner pin to see it, honestly. So I will go to FX and preset. Corner pin is over here. Click and drag. Just drop it on top. Let's adjust it. Let's see how it works. Okay, it seems it's good. It's working fine until now. Take the other pin, put it over here. And the last one, just put it over here. I think it's okay. What do you think, guys? You see, there is a lot of choices here, and it's up to you to decide what is the best. This is what I'm doing. I might be wrong, but also I'm talking to you, okay? So I'll come back to the beginning here and see it's still working. So I'll click on the stopwatches to create the keyframes, go to the end, and notice that it worked fine. Okay, I will zoom out. Not really. Let's readjust it over here. Okay, and this guy over here, for example. I don't know if you want to adjust it from top, but it seems like okay for a simple exercise, not for a professional job. Fine, let's try it. We go to 100% or fit to 100%, and let's play. I think it's working pretty fine. Here you are, guys. You see, it became very easy. If you use a solid layer or a null object. If you have a null object, maybe you link several other layers to the null object, but it will work exactly the same. By now, I think you have mastered how to use the track points and the camera tracking, and when you have a new video, you will be able to really achieve a lot. Guys, this is your practice activity and challenge for the 3D camera tracking section. It is extremely important that you come and do this challenge just on your own. Don't just jump to the next lecture. It's very important that you train yourself. It's very important that you apply what you have seen, what you have learned. Well, in this challenge, it's very easy. If you come over at the beginning here, first you want to attach the text to the roof here. Don't worry about it. You might think I didn't do the text. That's why I'm giving it as a challenge, because it's so easy. And after that, you want to attach a pre-comp here that looks like a radar or a bomb, if you like. They want to bomb the house, something like this, on the rooftop also. Notice how they are very well connected to the rooftop. After Effects will resolve the camera and add the track points in a very good way in this video, because there is a lot of variations, if you notice, on the rooftop. So guys, before you jump to the next lecture, please come and try to resolve this challenge. Play with it, add more maybe, change the words, I don't know, change colors, add a monkey here jumping from the trees, or I don't know, an alligator coming to swim over here, something like this, you know, play around. Try to use the camera tracking as much as you can. And in the next lecture, I will show you how this is done. It's pretty easy. This is your tutorial for the practice activity and challenge of the previous lecture within this section. I hope you have trained a lot on 3D camera tracking, and you're just coming to this lecture to verify that you have done extremely well. Please guys, info is nice, but practicing is much better, and this is what will get you to be very skilled in After Effects. Let's start resolving the challenge. What I've done until now is to apply the track camera effect and to resolve it with a variable zoom. So I got lots of track points all over the place. Our first duty is to add the text over here. If you zoom in just a bit, you will notice that you have very many good track points here. I will select this one. I can just come to the middle and take it down a bit, just like this. And I can right click and say create text. Notice how the text appeared here. It writes the word text. I am sure that you know that already because you tried to resolve the challenge. Now, in the paragraph, I centered the text. Select the text and put it on the left, maybe. Look how it's gonna come out. The anchor point will be on the left. So I will put it on the middle here, and it's working. So I'll take it down a bit. That's the first thing I want to do. Okay. I press Shift and take it down. I will double click on the text and write welcome. If you select your text layer and go to the character panel, I hope you have put the font size to a high value, because you are going to take it down a lot sometimes. I will use the selection tool now to put it up in the center and scrub through and see if it's working. Is it stuck to the ceiling? Actually, it's 100% perfect. Here you are. Now, let's give it some blending here, guys. And let's go give it an overlay. Will do nice, I think. Here you are. That's not bad at all. So now it's like integrated on the rooftop. Let's start the second one. The second one, we're supposed to put the composition over here, the circles. This one over here is a very nice one. It has a repeater and a loop out. Okay, you can create anything you want. I mean, better than this. I'm trying to be simple for the course. So let's select our layer and go to Effects Controls and select 3D Camera Tracker. Let's come over here and choose the best possible. Okay, I think this is cool. Yeah, we have to take it down, but this will work. So I will right click and add a solid layer. You could add a null layer, but I prefer to add a solid layer. And check it out before I put the comp. It seems like it's stuck, it glued over here. Very nice rendering. Let's stop over here, go back to the beginning, select the layer and go to the project panel, select the circle, press Alt or Option on the Mac and do a simple replacement. Let's play now, and wow, it's working at 100%. Let's zoom to 100% or zoom to fit. Here you are. If you deselect, you have a very nice animation. You notice how simple it is. Let's come over here and give it also an overlay. Okay, so we change the transform mode. It looks much nicer. If you find the circle small, you can always use the scale to make it bigger. Okay, let's go to the maximum. I guess this is it. And you can make it bigger. In fact, let's take it down a bit. Here you are. And even make it bigger. So it has some influence. I think that's okay. Let's play. Pretty cool, guys. You could also animate it, you know. Come over here and open, for example, position and Shift R for orientation. Keyframe both of them. And then let's move them to this side. Using the X, move them to this side. We zoom first. We make sure we are seeing all the video. And just move over here. Okay, that will be nice. Then, at the end, just over here maybe. And we use the X again, press Shift and just move it to this side. We don't want it to touch with anything. Let's play it and see exactly what's happening. So now it's being animated and it's like it's stuck over to the ceiling. It's up to you if you want to animate it. It's just a bonus. So guys, the practice activity and challenge was honestly very easy. Have you tried? Have you tried to do it? I hope now that you've seen how it's done, you go back and but create more. You know, change the pre-comp, try to attach things all over, make all your mistakes, have fun, guys. It's very important that you have fun. Notice, guys, I'm just wondering here, do you think you can attach anything over here, right? You know, something like popping or some kind of animal coming out, you know, use a picture or something like this. I hope you come over and play a lot. Thank you very much for listening. I will see you in the next lecture.